how much a lot has changed. Social media has taken control of our lives, and we don't even realize it anymore. We're crippled because of it.
That's absolutely right, Nick. Because, as you said, nowadays it seems that you get rewarded for failure. For the life of me, Nick, I can't get my head around that. Perhaps I'm just getting old and morbid. I don't know. I just can't get my head around how you could be rewarded for failure. And it gives them something to look at, and it makes them laugh. It makes them laugh. So that's why I do it.
Oh, and it could be a really good pickup line as well. Ladies who ask, "Hey, excuse me, so why are you wearing something so colorful?" I mean, hey, you can always have something up on your sleeve. I mean, got me thinking. You want to stand out. Why do you want to stand out though so much, especially with these kind of shirts when you're riding? There must be a purpose behind it, right?
Well, when you say a purpose, Nick, what I do, I wear the shirts, mainly one because they're nice and bright. So they make me visible, especially if I'm riding on the road.
Okay. That's very important, right? Because you want cars, yeah.
Very important. And also, like, people see me in, like, calves, and perhaps I shouldn't be saying this on here, I suppose, but in the bar afterwards.
All right.
And it gives them something to look at, and it makes them laugh. It makes them laugh, so that's why I do it.
Oh, and it could be a really good pickup line as well. Ladies who ask, "Hey, excuse me, so why are you wearing something so colorful?" I mean, hey, you can always have something up on your sleeve. I mean, you look like a guy who would do.
You know me too well. You know me too well, Nick.
Welcome back to the show. It's your girl Sarah right here on Relaks Radio. Now we were having a very important conversation with regard to COVID, how it was affecting people, the pandemic. We were talking about vaccine hesitancy among young people, especially here in the UK. All right, now make sure you stay tuned because we still have a little bit more left to discuss in terms of what exactly is going to change in the United Kingdom when we take off all these restrictions and when we let people from the EU and the United States to come into England without quarantine and whatnot, right? Which is another important conversation to be having as well. So if you are interested in that, if you want to find out more, well, make sure you stay tuned, okay? Because I want to know what you're thinking. I want to know what you feel as well. Don't forget to do that. Make sure to text me on 078-52473473 to get in touch with me, share your thoughts with me, opinions with me, because I want to know what you're thinking and I want to know why you think that way. Okay, so don't forget to do that, and don't forget to go download the app, which is available on both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store as well. That way you can actually make sure that you're a part of the show and you're always listening to the show, because you need to make sure that you are informed and aware about everything that happens, not just here in the United Kingdom, but in fact all over the world as well. So don't forget to go follow us on our socials. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and like us on Facebook, and that way you can actually stay informed, stay connected, and don't forget to download the app either, which is available on both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store, right? You can listen in from your iOS or your Android device. But right now, let's actually get into our discussion about what exactly is going to change. What is the change that is coming, and what exactly is going to change here in the United Kingdom when travelers from the European Union and the United States actually come to England? Okay, so what exactly is changing? Now, people fully vaccinated in the US and even Europe will actually have their status recognized here in the United Kingdom from 4 a.m. on the 2nd of August. Okay, 4 a.m. 2nd of August, those are the dates. That's the time that you need to keep in mind if you want to travel to the UK if you're from the US and or if you're from the European Union. Okay, that's what you need to keep in mind, and you need to make sure that you remember that as well. Now, only people who have had both the doses of the vaccine can actually travel to the United Kingdom, right? And basically, that means that they basically have a COVID pass, right? Something that not a lot of people in a lot of countries are quite lucky to have, especially because of vaccine inequality, because of a whole lot of other things. We know that vaccine, especially in terms of vaccines and how exactly that's being distributed, it really hasn't been that great for a lot of other countries out there. Right. However, having said that, there is a lot of things that are going to change for people here in the United Kingdom, especially when all these travelers from the EU and from the US from the US come to England. All right. Now, those who have had both doses on the NHS have actually been able to get a COVID pass, and until now, it has actually allowed them to avoid isolation if coming from an amber list country. Okay. Now, this locked out Britons who were living abroad who are fully vaccinated, much to their frustration. All right. And I guess I understand your sentiments, right? I understand why you feel so frustrated, especially if you have family who lives here in the UK and you're stuck in some other part of the world. It's been so frustrating, right? I mean, I wanted to see my family, and my family, lives in the state. The rest of my family lives in the States, right? My cousins, I haven't seen them in so long. The last time I saw them was probably 2 years ago, because it's been 2 years since the pandemic began, right? And because my cousins live in the States, it's actually very, very hard for me to see them, meet them. I haven't seen them in a really, really long time. And it's frustrating as well. Now, people fully vaccinated in the US are all, people who are fully vaccinated in the US and even Europe will actually have their status recognized in the UK from 4 a.m. Like I said, now the European countries that are included are all but one of the 27 EU member states, as well as, Norway is there, Iceland is there, Switzerland, Liechtenstein, Monaco, Andorra, and Vatican City. Now, France is the only exception because it's on the Amber Plus list, and because of that, there is a lot of danger that is there as well. So because of that, France is on the Amber Plus list. Okay. Now, what about the people who live in the UK? What about them? Do these same regulations apply for them as well? Now, what you need to keep in mind is that the announcement actually only relates to people who are coming into the UK, right? Not going out, but in. All right. And people who plan to leave the country will still have to face those exact same hurdles they had to back then, because things don't really look like it's going to change anytime soon. All right. And because of that, it all those things that you have to go through if you're flying to another country, those are still in place. Now, something else you need to keep in mind as well is that the White House actually said this week that there would be no change from the existing rules which basically tells the US citizens not to travel to the UK. And it also barred everyone else from entering the country if they had been in the UK in the past 14 days. So those are important things that you need to keep in mind as well. Now, make sure you stay tuned, because after we get back from this break, we still have a lot more left to discuss about this. So until then, make sure you stay tuned, all right? Because I will be back in a few more minutes.
The valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday, and what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. What am I saving or investing for? Why am I doing it? When will I need the money? And how much money do I need? Yeah. So that's quite important, because when you're looking at your net worth, you got to start with saying, well, what do I want my net worth to be, so that there's a goal, and then work backwards. How do I get there? And if I can start with £50 or $50 a week, if I save that every week, and you can go online and use calculators online. I don't have to teach you the maths behind it, but you can say, okay, and if I get a 3% return and I put this away for how long will it take to reach my goal? And that's called just this basic cash flow projection calculations. And it's what we use in financial planning all the time. What we say to clients is we say, okay, what is your goal? What is your objective? Where do you want to go to? And we discuss that in a lot of detail and over most of the meeting. And then the rest of it is saying, okay, in your exact circumstances, with your risk profile, with how you feel about investments and pensions and taxes and where you are and who you work with, and your education level or your lack of education or how involved you want to be. There's a lot of variables that we take into account, and then we say, okay, here's a plan. You start like this, that's great. And then we review it all the time. And we say, okay, we need to increase it, we're on track, we're not, this is what has happened. Because remember, when you're dealing with assets, the valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday. And what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. So that's a struggle. Yeah. So there are strategies everywhere from £50 a week up to £100 million pounds. And they're different, right? They range differently from everyone, but and from country to country, to be fair. Different countries have different tax laws, so different vehicles. But from your point of view, at the sort of normal end, I'm not going to call it the low end because I'm in that boat as well. It's as tax efficient as you can get it. That's where you start. You use all the tax efficiencies and then you step up into different things.
Welcome back to the show. It's a girl Sarah right here on the Sunrise, and you're tuned into the Sunrise, where I will be keeping you company with the latest information, making sure that you're aware and that you know about everything that happens, not just here in the United Kingdom, but in fact all around the world as well. Okay, so don't forget to do that. Don't forget to stay tuned to the conversation. Don't forget to text me on 078-524-73473 to share your thoughts, to share your opinions with me, because I want to know what you are thinking. I want to know what you're saying as well. Let me hear your thoughts. You can call me up on 078-524-73473, or you can text me on that exact same number. So don't forget to get in touch with me. Okay, and don't forget to go follow us on our socials as well, because that way you can make sure that you get the latest of the information and you are always updated about everything that happens, not just here in the UK, but in fact all over the world as well. Don't forget to download the app either, which is available on both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. So that's all the good for you. Okay, now let's actually head back into our conversation. Okay, now we were talking about how even though rules are going to change for people coming into the UK, people who are going out of the UK will still have to pass those exact same hurdles that they had to go through. Okay, now one common question that is commonly asked is, do I still need to get tested? Well, those who have actually been fully vaccinated in the eligible countries will actually need to test negative before departure and within 2 days of arrival, right? And they actually don't have to they don't have to take a test on day 8. So if you are from the countries whose vaccinations have been approved, whose countries are, where the country they're from is considered eligible, you need to test negative right before departure, and afterwards you have to make sure that you are still negative within 2 days of arrival, and that you don't and then if that's the case, you don't actually have to take a test on day 8. Now what about children? Okay, now under 18s are currently being vaccinated in the United States, so they may be inoculated, but some coming from the Europe may not be. Okay, now the UK government actually is saying that children who normally reside in the US or even Europe will actually be treated the same way as double vaccinated adults, right? Meaning that they will be exempt from quarantine and they do not need to take an 8-day test, right? So these children who normally reside in the US or the Europe are going to be treated the same way as those other adults as well. Okay, they will, however, still need to take a pre-departure test and another on day 2 after their arrival, right? And those aged between 5 and 10 will actually only need to complete a day 2 test, right? So then, if that's the case, how exactly are people going to prove their vaccination status? Now, that's obviously a very important question that is there as well. How are people going to prove their vaccination status? Now, the way people can actually prove their vaccination status, especially if they're from the European Union, is that they actually have the digital COVID certificate, which is currently there in the EU. So Europeans who are from that Europeans can actually produce that digital COVID certificate to, or rather as proof of the inoculations. Now, Americans do not actually have an app, so what they will have to do is to show their CDC card, basically the card that they got when they got vaccinated, to make sure that everyone knows that they're vaccinated, and that is what will essentially act as their proof of vaccination, okay, for them, right? And then we have this whole question of why is the UK going ahead with this move? Which is a fair enough question, because to be honest, I've had that question as well. All right, look, there is a surge in coronavirus cases. There's vaccine hesitancy among young people. There are so many things that are going wrong right now. So why exactly are we going ahead and doing this? Okay, are we trying to save the economy? What exactly is the purpose of going ahead and reducing all of these restrictions that used to exist and letting people from the EU and the United States come in? And then I also have this other question about why is it only the EU and the US? What about people from other countries who are in fact vaccinated? Now, if you have questions like that, if you have the answer to those questions as well, you can text me on 078 Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what your thoughts are, because I want to know whatever it is that you have to say as well. Okay, so make sure to do that now. To get back into our discussion, why exactly is the UK going ahead with this move? Now, ministers are in fact very, very keen to capitalize on the vaccine rollout success to help reunite families and friends. Okay, so they're doing this because they want to reunite families and friends that have been separated because of the pandemic, right? And now that vaccination is happening at a great pace, people are getting vaccinated, but mostly we need to keep in mind that these people who are getting the jab, yeah, those people are actually people from wealthier countries. It's not actually people from poorer countries who are getting the vaccine. So again, there's this whole problem of vaccine inequality that comes to play as well. However, they're doing this with the intention of bringing together, reuniting these families that lost touch with each other or that were separated because of the pandemic, right? And they also want to restore business travel to help boost the economy, right? They want to make sure that the economy can get back to the way it was. They want to make sure that the economy can actually go back to how it functioned before the pandemic, and that's why they're actually doing this. Now, that seems to be the reason why our government is taking this step, because they want to make sure that everyone's safe and protected. However, it doesn't necessarily seem like it's the smartest thing to be doing at the moment, because of all the multiple things that are happening here in the United Kingdom. Okay, now make sure you stay tuned, because I will be back in a few more minutes to keep talking to you about, refugees, because let's talk about the migrant rescuers that actually had to go through a lot of abuse that was hurled at them because they saved, they saved a few migrants. Okay, so make sure you stay tuned, because I will be back for the conversation in a little bit.